everyone, welcome back to another tying video. Today I'm going to be tying up a Buggy Intruder springtime clear water. Love this style of fly. So I've got a 42mm shank with some brass eyes and a aqua talon rigged up. Start off with a hot spot of some fusion flame dub and some shell pink ripple ice. Layer some ripple ice over that. I'm going to throw that into a dubbing loop. Work our thread forward a little bit. We're going to wrap this up right at the back of the fly. Actually, I'm going to go one wrap in front of the other on this one to create a little bit of a longer hot spot, not just a dubbing ball. Then I'm going to take a Wapsi whole hen, Indian hen saddle that is, and we're going to take one of these bigger feathers off. Work those fibers back. This is a super buggy feather right in front of our hot spot. Work some of those fibers back and go ahead and wrap that up. Capture that stem down. 4 good wraps. Speaking of buggy, we're actually going to tie in some Ozark turkey tail feathers right here, and these have incredibly sticky barbs. We'll cut off about 12 fibers or so. It's like that. And then what you're going to actually do is grab them by the tips, take a wire brush, or you can see there's actually some in there right now. Take a wire brush, and then we're going to work against those barbs, and you could already see them starting to split. Splitting them, you could really start to see just how buggy these fibers are. I'm going to wet my fingers. I'm going to work those barbs back even more. Once you've got those worked back, just take a couple off. I'm going to tie in 2 at a time, right on the top, slightly longer than the hook. Fewer you grab at once, the better, as they already like to stick to each other. If you can space them out a little bit as you're tying them in, that helps. You place anywhere from 12 to 20 fibers, and then we'll catch back up. I'm going to leave this nice and sparse. Just going to stop right around there. It's starting to take shape around. You can see how awesome those fibers look. If you do debarb them correctly, they can actually be quite fun to tie with. And we're going to take some maroon Amherst. I'm going to tie in about equal parts of that now. We'll go back through 2 at a time. Same thing for these. Grab them by the tips and just work against the grain. And you work towards the back of the fly once you're done placing those with the thread. And you could see all of those fibers coming tight and actually spreading out. You can actually prop them up more just by tightening them down up against that dubbing at the back. Oh, I'm going to tie in some gold wire. We're going to take a nice orange and black grizzly hackle, tie that in backwards. Now we are going to dub this body. So I'm going to create a 5-inch dubbing loop, pretty big one. To that, I'm adding crusty nail fusion dub. We're going to stretch that out about 4 inches long. We're going to spin that up, have about 1 inch on either side. All right, now we're going to wrap that up. And we're just going to leave a few mils behind the eyes, do some final work. Cool, so we're going to grab our hackle pliers, full wrap in the back, and start. So you get to the front, just do a full wrap and capture it down. Then we're going to take our wire, so you're crossing over top of your hackle spins. Another Indian hen saddle feather. Wrap that up. It's more turkey, except for this time the longest piece is actually laid diagonally, so the corner will always be the longest. So if you go in, pull some of those bad boys out, that's what we want to use. So I'm just going to work that around. Now I've worked a good amount of those fibers around. I'm just going to grab some jungle cock eyes. I always like to take the stem, pull it back, and give it 1 or 2 good wraps as well. Then I'm going to tie in some orange grizzly saddle hackles, some smaller, skinnier ones as a pair of wings. I actually like to tie in the wings on my intruders flat on top, kind of like a shell casing, not so much tented. Just to the length of the hook is where I'll make my mark, and I'll pluck off everything below that point. Capture that down with 2 loose wraps, and then the 3rd wrap I'm going to pull tight. See where that's sitting? That's actually sitting exactly how I want it, so I'm pleased with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of wax on my thread and do a few more hard wraps on that. Work my thread up in front of the eyes and right behind the eye, and I'm going to whip finish. Now we're gonna lock everything in with some UV resin. Quick zap all the way around just to lock it in and hold it. Right, there you have it, my Buggy Intruder, heavily inspired by some of the first Intruders and Edward. This thing's awesome. Be sure to subscribe for more bugs like this, more swinging videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks so much. Later.